Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. Within a week of the Browns' last game, two of their coaching candidates have signed on elsewhere, McCarthy to Dallas and Rivera to Washington. So while the Haslam research team travels all over the country, these other teams had a plan. And while Haslam tries out his plan, he may have to wait too long to get Josh McDaniels and eventually wind up with that hot coordinator, which hasn't really worked out that well in the ownership of the Haslams of the Cleveland Browns. McDaniels will have at least three choices. I don't like the Browns' odds. Doug Lesmerises here. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Monday night. It's a brand new week. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine into its 24th consecutive year, exclusively seen on cleveland.com, exclusively with us from cleveland.com and the plain dealer, Doug Lesmerises, who's had a busy couple of weeks, Ohio State and the Cleveland Browns. You got a rest or a little rest today?
Yeah, I rested. I'm good. I got fired up for this.
You got about an hour of goodness coming up?
Maybe half an hour. We'll see.
216-575-0403 is the number to call if you'd like to get in. You can email us during the show at the address you see at the bottom of the screen, reallesLevine@gmail.com. All right, here we are in court. And you wrote this week that you're guilty, Your Honor. You wrote that John Dorsey was given a whole bunch of stuff, a lot of toys, and he messed them up before Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Defend yourself, young man.
I'm right, man. I mean, come on. He had more salary cap space than anybody. He had all these extra picks. And he had, in a coaching search, he had a whole half season after firing Hugh Jackson to sort of diagnose what's going on. Right. He had everything that a GM would want because everybody wants to build their own thing. Whatever GM they get now is going to come into a team that really is, in a lot of ways, already built. He got to pick a quarterback, number one in a quarterback class with all kinds of options. He had assets to go trade for a superstar receiver. He had a pretty good, a year ago, everybody said this was a good job in Cleveland. You should be able to get a good head coach. He had everything. And so people who say, well, you know, John Dorsey brought in some talent, they went 6-10. It's not fantasy football. You are your record.
You're not going to blame the coach for any of that?
No, I'm not going to blame the coach. The coach got fired first. So it's like
not by a lot of hours.
So like the idea of like, it's not like they fired Dorsey and not the coach.
Right.
But the coach was Dorsey. John Dorsey picked Freddie-Kitchens when he had many other options. And I think belief that other people had in Freddie-Kitchens was predicated on the idea, listen, John Dorsey was in that building for 8 games. While Freddie's coordinating, Greg Williams is coaching, he must have a good handle on what was really happening there. Nobody had more information on Freddie-Kitchens than John Dorsey.
As it turned out, the emperor had no clothes when it was all said and done.
He had a sweatshirt. He had one set of clothes.
Right.
So, I mean,
and his coach had 2 sets, one that dog pound and one that said, hey, Pittsburgh started it.
So, listen, here's the deal, though, on that. Freddie had never done this before. Freddie was a coordinator for 8 games.
Right.
Freddie was inexperienced. If you were picking Freddie, you had to give Freddie some kind of learning curve, some kind of expectation that he maybe won't hit the ground running. John Dorsey had done this before. He went to the playoffs 3 times in 4 years with Kansas City. Freddie should have had a longer leash than Dorsey, so if they cut Freddie's leash, you cut Dorsey's too.
Okay, now in retrospect, or hindsight, or whatever, when it's all said and done, the pick of Baker-Mayfield, while some people are very much still with it and some are not, one would think that the new coach, whoever he has to be, has to sign on to a Baker-Mayfield, no matter, even if he doesn't necessarily feel that way.
Yeah, quarterbacks stay and coaches leave. Right. I mean, that is a thing. You look at, I mean, there are some quarterbacks who have had a coach for a long time in their career, but more often, you sort of get the quarterback and find the coach to fit him. The idea that, like, somebody would come in and say, hey, you know, I don't want Baker anymore, get me Ryan Fitzpatrick or whatever. I don't think that's where the Browns would be at all. The Tennessee finally gave up on Marcus Mariota like in year 5. Baker's only going into year 3. If you pick a quarterback that high in the first round in the top 10 picks, you've at least got to believe in him, as long as he's healthy, for at least 3, probably 4 years, and you're all in on him. So yes, if you want to be the coach of the Cleveland Browns, Baker Mayfield's your quarterback.
All right, so the search, which already yielded 2 guys going elsewhere, and I assume they wanted either one of those 2 guys. If not, they should have.
You're mad. You're mad they didn't get Rivera or McCarthy?
No, you know what? It's almost like I don't have a horse in this race. I'm so fed up with the coaching search year after year. Andy Baskin on 92.3 The Fan today said something really good. He was talking about Browns Island, where they should do a reality show where, let's go visit Mike Pettin today and see how he's spending his money. Let's go, the latest edition, let's watch the arrival of freddie-kitchens here. Hugh Jackson, you get 2 spaces on our reality show.
I don't want to see Hugh Jackson on a reality show.
That would be scary. I understand that. So where do they stand now? Now you got, if they want
Josh McDaniels, yeah.
If they want him, they got 2 other teams that probably want him also.
Yeah, they'll get him, though. Don't you think they'll get him? Guy coming back home, he's done it before.
Put LeBron's picture on the cover.
Yeah, I don't know. The Browns, this is still a good job. There are some good players here. It's not hopeless, right? They need to fix some stuff. And again, and I wrote this, you'll probably make me go on trial for this too. It's like, I also wrote that I sort of understand where the Haslams are with this, that they did, obviously, they've made mistakes in the past. We know it. You know it. Every person watching this knows it. They know it. The first couple searches, they didn't know what the heck they were doing.
Well, they were terrible. They should have written the book on it. They've had enough opportunities.
But they did. The last time, they said, well, okay, we'll get an experienced GM, a GM who's won. We'll let him hire the head coach. Let's see what happens. And John Dorsey screwed it up. So the idea of we are going to hire a head coach first, let the head coach have influence on the GM. We're going to get them on the same page, couple them together. Here, head coach, we're giving you the power. You have a quarterback. You have some good players. We got to fix the offensive line. We got it. We got to fix some stuff. I think this is a good job, and I don't know anything. So you can turn this show off right now. But I think it will be Josh McDaniels. I think he would want to come here, and I think it's a great opportunity for him and a good fit.
The fact that he is even a candidate, where in the past he's stuck with Bill Belichick, sort of tells me the Bill Belichick era is just about over. No,
there's a lot of things at play here, right? Like, this would be a much better time to come to the Browns than it would have been in the past. And, Tom Brady might not be there. I don't know who. If Josh McDaniels, if he stays in his current job, doesn't know who his quarterback is next year. If he comes to the Browns, he knows his quarterback's Baker Mayfield.
Right.
The Browns very likely will have a better quarterback in 2020 than the New England Patriots if Tom Brady leaves. So, come here, Josh.
How about Las Vegas saying it's 5-1 that the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, Tom Brady's place of where he lands is the Cleveland Browns at 5-1.
Have people brought that up? I was thinking about that. Like, if you want to throw that grenade out there, hey, Tom Brady comes with Josh McDaniels. Would you get Baker out of the way? Okay, you threw the grenade. I'm getting out of the way. I'm ducking the shrapnel.
I'm not doing it. I'm trying to find out if Baker Mayfield can play. Bringing in Tom Brady for a year doesn't do much for me.
And here's the thing. Right? Everybody builds around a quarterback. You got to commit to a quarterback and build around him. That's part of the Browns' problem is they've never drafted a quarterback high enough to really commit to him.
Right.
Guys in their second year struggle. Baker Mayfield's not the first young quarterback to struggle in year 2. I still think he'll be good.
Did you think he was horrible? I didn't.
No, I didn't think he was horrible. He had terrible interception luck. And again, you can't just go by interceptions. A lot of these good film guys, they chart interceptable passes. There are quarterbacks who hit defenders in the chest and they drop it. Baker Mayfield hit receivers in the hands and they tipped it in the air. I thought he didn't see things as well. I thought he got better as the year went. I thought their play calling was a little hit and miss in a way that maybe didn't take advantage of everything he can do. Their line sometimes couldn't block enough to get the ball down the field. I didn't think he was lost and horrible. He looked iffy earlier in the year, and he got better.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Doug Lesmerises, Cleveland Plain Dealer, and cleveland.com. Just a quick capsule, and we'll get going a little deeper on it. Ohio State, disappointing loss. Referees didn't help them. I don't like to ever blame referees, but sometimes you almost have to. What did you think of the whole Fiesta Bowl experience?
I thought Ohio State was a better team, and I thought if they get one break in that game, In our Buckeye Talk podcast this week, I listed 10 things that happened. I said if one of those 10 things would have gone Ohio State's way, they would have won. They were better. The fumble was a fumble. It shouldn't have been deemed incomplete. The targeting call was certainly controversial. There's multiple other things there that happened. They had a lot of things go against them, and I agree with you. I hate talking about the refs, but I think the refs cost them a chance in the national title.
Well, so what can you do about it? The obvious thing is get better referees, but supposedly that's the cream of the crop.
Well, it's hard. I think they may end up changing the targeting rule because it's the penalty, and they also kicked out one of their best players. That kid shouldn't have been kicked out for that. There wasn't intent to harm there or anything. I think that may actually get fixed. But just talking to a lot of Ohio State fans through our text subscriber service, just asking people how they feel. They're not going to get over this. This is one that will stick with Ohio State fans, I think, forever. This will be the could-have-been year, and they're going to feel like it was taken away from them.
Do you think, I just said get better referees, do you think because of the speed of the game and size and all that, they avoid putting, if it's a Big Ten team, they avoid putting Big Ten referees in? Do you think it might be a better idea to put them in so they are used to it? They're not going to make choices based on their affiliation.
No, I mean, it was SEC officials in an ACC Big Ten game. So, there's not a conspiracy, Ed. I mean, nobody is out to get Ohio State. They just made some bad calls. And I think officials on all levels are sort of trapped in between. In the replay era, I think we can over-replay things sometimes.
Yeah. And you can make calls knowing that they're going to go check them upstairs anyway. So if they're wrong, they're wrong. And
you get into this, and we've seen this in basketball. We're starting to get in the 1/100th of a frame world of was someone's pinky on a ball? Did someone make a move? And if you're going at this speed versus at full speed, it's hard to tell what you're supposed to think about things. So I think we're off the deep end a little bit, and that was the thing. Both those calls that really hurt Ohio State were not called on the field, and were reversed on replay when you thought replay was sort of supposed to be there to fix obvious mistakes.
Those aren't obvious.
And both of these were sort of 50-50 calls, or not even 50-50 calls, that they flipped, and that's why Ohio State's really mad.
I have a theory on those things, how to get the calls right. If it looks like a catch, it's a catch. How about that?
I'm with you. Let's do it. Can we write that down, the Les-Levine replay idea? If it looks it is?
If it looks like a duck, it's a duck. No question about it. This portion of More Sports and Les-Levine brought to you by the Ohio Lottery. Facebook coming up. You can check us out on Facebook. Go to facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. We'll check out your responses a little bit later. When we come back, the latest on the head coaching search for the Cleveland Browns. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This portion of More Sports and Les-Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Direct. All right, early win. Great Indians pitcher was born on this date in 1920. Did you know this guy, Ty Game?
I did not know him.
Well, he's a great player. Gilbert Arenas, born on this date. A.J. Hawk, Dominican Sue, and Jameis Winston, all born on the 6th of January. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Doug Lesmerises is with us. Bud Shaw tomorrow night. Dennis Maniloff on Wednesday. Paul Hoynes will be here on Thursday. He's getting his rant ready to go right now, I assume. All right, a lot of names associated with the Browns coaching job. Do you think the two, McCarthy and Rivera, do you think they were up high in the hierarchy?
McCarthy seemed like maybe he was. It felt like Rivera went to Washington very quickly. I'm not sure how much he ever got in the mix. It's hard. You see what Terry Francona has done with the Indians as bringing in like an experienced guy who's been around the block. This was Terry Francona's third job. He had won somewhere before. There is that idea to me that can seem very attractive, right? That like if you could get the Terry Francona for the Browns,
of football, that
would be very interesting. But also, there is another part of me that is like, I don't want to retread. Like, why? So you failed somewhere else. Why does that make sense for the Browns?
Did
so
you
I'm
think
caught
that
between.
Francona was a retread when they got him?
No, that's the thing. Like, I like McCarthy. McCarthy felt to me like more of a guy who kind of went south at Green Bay for a couple years, and it felt like he was falling behind the times. Ron Rivera felt like he is still at a very high level, and it just had sort of run its course in Carolina. So I would have been in on Rivera. I was not that in on McCarthy, though.
All right, I'm going to throw out one name and then ask you why he was eliminated, why you would eliminate anybody who was a possibility, and that's Urban-Meyer. Why would you come right out and say, no, we're not interested in him? Because you may wind up having to be interested in him.
So I think that the point that Jimmy was making, and I think this to be true, is that Urban-Meyer is not going to be like interviewed in between Kevin Stefanski and Josh McDaniels. Like, oh, we squeezed Urban in on Thursday. It's like Urban is like, no. Urban's not going to interview for the Browns job. At the end of all this, if they're like, we kind of didn't find a guy we liked, or the guy we liked took another job, I could maybe, small maybe, see them going to Urban and saying, like, do you want this?
That's why I would not have said, no, we're getting an NFL guy.
Yeah, I mean, people say stuff.
You may not,
but he's not, Urban's not going to be, like, in the interview process.
No. Hey, I'm here. When's lunch?
He's there the whole time. And also, it's like one of these things. I mean, stuff gets thrown out. Like, is Peyton Manning the president of the Browns? Like, is Jim Tressel? However many Jim Tressel Browns rumors there were in the world.
Well, because he comes from Berea. Yeah.
I know, but it's like people just throw out like famous person might coach your team. I hate famous person might coach your team speculation. A lot of it's nonsense. I don't know. I don't know what Urban-Meyer's going to do.
Do you think Urban-Meyer was ever in the Dallas Cowboy hunt? Now that that's
felt
over
like,
with?
Well, I mean, all the reports are that Jerry Jones said he wanted a guy with NFL experience. Yeah. I thought that made more sense, and I've said this about Urban-Meyer a couple times. The idea to me that Urban-Meyer had his dream job at Ohio State.
Right.
And that a year later, he would be like, yeah, I'll coach football in Ohio 2 hours away so that Ohio State can win on Saturday 63-10, and then I can lose to the Jets on Sunday.
And it's okay.
And like that would make Urban-Meyer happy. This guy has done nothing but win his whole life. I thought if Urban-Meyer was going to coach in the NFL, like get away, go do something different. To stay here and coach football, you could have coached Ohio State. I don't think it's going to happen for the Browns.
All right,
but I could be wrong.
See who
don't
is
play
available.
this back.
Josh McDaniels probably will have 3 offers when it's all said and done. And you say of the candidates now, you say you'd take him.
I would take him because he was a head coach, failed, learned, and he has this. I mean, I know not every Bill Belichick disciple has gone on to rave reviews as a head coach, but some have.
Who has?
I mean, Mike Vrabel wasn't a coach in New England, but he certainly learned from Belichick, and he's doing pretty good. He seems ready, right? He's certainly qualified. And to me, yes, he's a coordinator, but he's not like the coordinator, the flavor of the month. No. He didn't have one good year doing this. He's done it for a long time.
Speaking of one good year, do you knock out 2 bad years as head coach of Denver?
I think you can knock that out as learning experience. I covered Terry Francona the first time he was a major league manager in Philadelphia. He wasn't that great. So sometimes you learn.
Greg Roman, he's had a pretty good year. Heading toward the Super Bowl, maybe.
Yeah.
What do you think?
boy, oh boy, like, I hope that's not all Lamar, right?
Yeah.
It's sort of like, hey, wow, you look like a genius when you have the most explosive, dynamic, best guy in the league. You look like a genius. Like, again, he's been around before. This is the kind of thing that would make me a little bit nervous, because why is he a hot name right now? It's because his quarterback is awesome.
All right, go to the defensive side of the ball. Now, I hope they make a decision one way or the other so I can finally figure out how this guy pronounces his name. How does he pronounce it? Salah?
Les, you're the host of this. I just call him Bob. I don't know what his name is.
Because I've done extensive research on it, and I've got 5 different names here. That's extensive.
Good old, I call him San Francisco Bob. San Francisco Bob has been around the block. Again, I have seen stuff on Twitter. Some smart NFL people have said there's some other defensive coaches there that have helped him do a really good job this year. And it's like, wow, they look really good once they got Nick Bosa and Richard Sherman.
Yeah,
and
who wouldn't?
this again, these kind of guys who are hot because their team is good, but you look at their team and they have good players, it just makes me a little nervous. Josh Daniels would not make me nervous.
Kevin Stefanski, I don't know if he's involved in third federal savings or not, but he's a candidate with the Minnesota Vikings. What do you think, Kevin Stefanski?
Feels, I mean, obviously they know this guy. They've interviewed this guy before. He's been around a little bit. Again, it's like
Podesta wants him.
Gary Kubiak in Minnesota is seemingly helping Kevin Stefanski in that offense look really good. So again, I would take Stefanski second behind McDaniels, but my faith in McDaniels is significantly higher, I think, than anybody else.
Brian Daboll, who was come back in the minds of Cleveland Browns fans. You don't want him because he was here before?
He's bounced around a lot. Again, this guy is one of those guys. Did anyone think this guy was a genius 3 years ago?
Not when he's here.
And it's like, well, now Sean McDermott is like a really good head coach, and they have a really good defense, and Josh Allen, when he's not throwing the ball in the stands, has a big arm. I get it. This is not what the Browns should do. No.
Eric Bieniemy, who's the best running back of this 5-man panel here, or 6.
This guy has been around. He has interviewed a lot of places before. I think a lot of people in the league have respect for this guy. He's learned under Andy Reid. Like, this guy seems to me a little more established, even if he hasn't coordinated every single time. This guy is more established to me as a leader, and I would not be nervous at all about Eric Bieniemy in the cut below Josh McDaniels.
Well, whichever coach finally winds up with the job, I would suggest that their wives or whoever makes decisions like this, like getting furniture, they go to Northeast Factory Direct. Is that... How much does a Segway?
How much does a Segue?
Anyway, go to Northeast Factory Direct. They'll have their choice. Now, most new coaches comes to Strongsville. I don't know if you're aware of that. They all buy houses in Strongsville. That's for newspaper people and radio and TV. When they're researching who's going to come in and actually get the job, they check out sales of homes in Strongsville and see if anything matches up.
I'm going to write that down.
Well, anyway, Northeast Factory Direct, 4 locations if you count the great website, northeastfactorydirect.com. You've got them at West 140th Street, Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid, and Freeway Drive, that's in Macedonia. East, west, and south. Northeast Factory Direct, they save money for you because they save money on the rent, maybe 10% of what the rental might cost to the big box stores, and they pass the savings on to you. Alex has been doing it for 20 years. He's got it down to a science, that's for sure. Doug Lesmerises also covers Ohio State. We're going to take a look at the roster and what it'll look like after the tough loss to Clemson last week. More Sports and Les-Levine continues with Doug Lesmerises exclusively on cleveland.com.
Celebrate NatureStone's 30-year anniversary with a free NatureStone floor. During 2020, we will be giving away 30 free floors to 30 very lucky customers to say thank you for making NatureStone the best concrete flooring solution for garages, basements, and more. Call or visit naturestone.com today to register to win, and we'll send you a copy of our new buyer's guide absolutely free. There's no purchase necessary. Winners will be chosen monthly. With over 30 million square feet installed for more than 60,000 customers, it's easy to see why I always say, it's not just a floor, wow, it's NatureStone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
This portion of More Sports and Les-Levine brought to you by Tri-C. Here's a How Come Quickie. Doug, how come when the Browns print up their schedules next year, after Week 17, it's going to say coaching search? That's what's on the schedule.
Les, they're going to get it right this time.
Or next, or the one after that.
Just keep
how
saying
many chances do you get?
5.
5.
Fifth time's the charm.
Ohio State, who's staying, who's going, the 2020 roster. Let's take a look at the offense, see what the Buckeyes have. All right, here you have it. What do you see? What don't you see?
Well, they're losing studs. They're losing Chase Young and Jeff Okudah are both going to be top 10 picks, maybe top 5 picks.
Top 10? My God, that's where the Browns will be.
Yeah, well, neither of them will get to the Browns.
You don't think?
No. Chase Young's probably going to be the second pick in the draft. And Jeff Okudah will be the first corner off the board, and he could go in the top 5. He's really good. jk-Dobbins, they're going to miss at running back in a big way. He's going to be in the mix, I think, among the top running backs, probably a second-round guy. In the end, I think they have about 7 starters they're losing on defense, but Sean Wade, you see they're staying with Ohio
State.
State.
In the last day or two.
He made his announcement on Saturday. That's a big deal. He's a borderline first-round guy. If he would have left, they would have been losing every starter in the secondary, which would have been a huge deal. And then Josh Myers, Wyatt Davis, and Thayer Munford were all guys who at least could have entertained the NFL, and they've all said they're going to stay. So that's a big deal for that offensive line.
Why did you overlook the punter?
Drew Chrisman?
Yeah.
He's an entertaining young gentleman, and he was really good. He was not as good in the second half of the year, actually. Right. He's been a really good punter. I think he's been as good as anybody, and he trailed off a little bit. They actually need some better punting from him.
Ohio State's had, I don't know of any that have really, other than Nugent from a decade and a half ago, they've had solid college kickers, field goal kickers, but none really go far.
No, they haven't had Cam Johnston as a punter is the Eagles punter right now. He's an Australian style. Right. He was really good as a punter. Yeah, they haven't had a kicker like that since Nugent. No, you're
216-575-0403. All right, let's take a look at the defense. See what we have here. The offense right there. I'm sorry.
So what they're going to do, Justin Fields coming back is a big deal. He'll be a second year as a starter. The offense is going to lean on him. They're going to throw the ball more next year, and their receivers are going to be really good. Chris-Olave and Garrett Wilson coming back at receiver. They're losing Ben Victor and Austin Mack. They have all these freshman receivers coming in, including Julian Fleming, who as a true freshman is going to play. They're going to throw it like crazy. The question mark, and I like Luke Farrell a lot. He's a versatile tight end from Northeast Ohio. Master Teague is the question. jk-Dobbins has been so good. Master Teague was the backup this year. I don't think he has as much wiggle or vision as JK. He's a powerful guy, but I think they're going to take a step back at running back, and I think it'll be noticeable.
Why is it there's so much depth at wide receiver and so little depth at running back?
It's very interesting. Brian Hartline, the receivers coach, former Buckeye, former Brown player, has recruited his butt off at receiver. They have 4 guys coming in who are as good as any receivers in the country. And so Brian Hartline's done a great job there. They've just missed on running back in 2 consecutive classes. They've gone after some big-name guys nationally, not gotten them, and had to sort of take sort of second-level guys. It's a little bit of a mystery, actually, why the last 2 years they haven't recruited running back better.
Yeah, you would think that would be a big position where somebody from the South or whatever would want to come in.
They pulled J.K. Dobbins out of Texas as a top 50 national recruit, and when you see what J.K.Dobbins has done. The running backs weren't as effective last year. That may have hurt them in recruiting. But to me, right now, J.K.Dobbins ran for 2,000 yards. Guys should want to come play running back at Ohio State.
Let's continue. A lot of Heisman Trophy winners out of that. Now we take a look at the defensive line here.
Yeah, they are going to miss guys here. They are not going to replace Chase Young. They've had this unbelievable run of Joey Bosa to Nick Bosa to Chase Young, where those three guys are going to end up being, in the NFL draft, the top non-quarterback taken in their draft, which is ridiculous. They are not at that level. So, Jonathan Cooper is a guy who was a senior this year. He got hurt and redshirted. Zach Harrison, Tyreek Smith from Cleveland is another guy at defensive end. They're going to need those guys to be great. They're good. They're going to need them to be great. They have depth at the defensive tackle spot, but they don't have as Zach Harrison's a 5-star guy. They do not have a Chase Young. And if you looked at what Chase Young has done all season, he's in the backfield constantly. The other guys were not in the backfield constantly. So I think we've gotten used to at Ohio State. You lose a stud, you replace him with a stud. They don't have an obvious Chase Young for 2020.
Let's take a look at the linebackers, see what returns. My favorite name is Tuff Borland. I think it's one of my all-time favorite names.
Yeah, it was not his legally given name, but he changed it. So he is tough.
For business purposes?
Yeah, well, for the purposes of having everybody think he's cool. Baron Browning coming back.
Like Joe Theismann changed it to Theismann?
It worked. Well, it didn't work. He didn't win it, but he got famous. So they're losing Malik Harrison, who was their leading tackler and their best linebacker this year. Baron Browning had maybe an NFL decision. He's a former 5-star guy. He'll be back. Pete Warner's been good. Baron Browning, I think, could have a monster year next year. But again, this is a spot where these guys are good players. There's not like an All-American guy on that board right now.
And you mentioned earlier about the defensive backs. Let's take a look at them for the 2020 Buckeyes.
Yeah, so Shaun Wade back is a big deal. They have some young guys like Sevyn Banks, Tyreek Johnson, Cam Brown at corner who are going to have to step up. They always have guys in that pipeline, but they're going to really need them. Amir Reep is the guy who played at the cornerback, slot corner, nickel corner spot when Shaun Wade got ejected. And then safety Josh Proctor is a really talented guy, but he's a guy in the Fiesta Bowl who got burned a couple times on some big plays. So they had an excellent secondary this year. And again, Ohio State always has guys to replace them, but they're not going to be as good on defense next year as they were this year because this defense was really high level in 2019.
Doug Lesmerises is here, covers the Browns, covers Ohio State, covers everything for cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. We'll come back. We'll check out what's Mike thinking from Nature's Stone, Mike Masetta. Explore your interests and find a program that puts you on the path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses in over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu, find out more information. We'll come back in a moment. Mike Masetta will join us. You're watching More Sports and Les-Levine exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohio-lottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Yeah, if you're in the market for a new high-efficiency Bryant gas furnace, Smiley One currently has a 0% APR, 36 months financing program. Check out smiley1.com. 216-575-0403. How about this date in Les-Levine history? No, in sports history. 2 years ago, it was the Browns 0-16 parade. Did you go?
I didn't go. Did you go?
No.
Too cold.
That's one reason.
Yeah. We'll wait for the real parade.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Really?
50 years.
I'll tell you what's about to show up here on the show. That's Mike Macetta from Nature Stone. Michael, how are you?
I'm doing well, Les. How are you doing?
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Yeah. Wow, we've got Doug Lesmerises with us from the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com.
How are you, Doug?
I'm doing well, Mike. How are you?
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Happy New Year to both of you and your families. All right, let's talk. Lots of stuff going on. Mike, are you checking in with the specific guy you want to be a coach for the Cleveland Browns, head coach?
Well, I mean, McCarthy's gone, and I thought he would have been a pretty good hire. You've got some coordinator guys out there that have no experience as a head coach, and then some names from college. But I'm not interested in the college guys. From what I'm looking at in terms of the guys that they're interviewing or have interviewed and what's left on the table, it sounds to me like this is Josh McDaniels' job to accept or deny. You know, that's what I know that DePodesta loves Stefanski. I think the defensive coordinator from the 49ers, it would be a good hire. He seems to be doing a good job. But, gosh, McDaniels with his John Carroll connection, and, who knows if he can bring that whole group, Cesario and whoever else here to, help with the front office and assistant coaching staff and so on and so forth. He may be looking at this as an opportunity to kind of start here what Belichick's doing in New England, but have it be his hometown and with the team that he rooted for growing up. So I think that would be, my pick for who I would want to be the coach.
All right, so you're talking about John Carroll guys. Doug, any chance, I just see that Don Shula celebrated his 90th birthday. Any chance that we could get him on that John Carroll connection?
Yeah, a little outside the box there, Les. You're the first guy I've heard bring up Don Shula.
We had him as a player in 51.
I'm in.
You lost to the Browns in 64?
Here's the thing where I think Mike...
That's history.
Go Don Shula. Here's where I think Mike really is onto something. Mike, it feels like to me, I think in the past with Josh McDaniels, anybody interviewing him was competing not just with other teams for Josh McDaniels, you were competing with him staying right where he was. And we saw that happen a couple years ago when he took the Colts job and then backed out of it. He has been waiting and waiting and waiting. Mike, doesn't it seem like there are a lot of things like this is the time for him to go? And so to me, if the Browns' competition is the Giants and the Panthers, and that's who they're competing with for Josh McDaniels, they're not really competing with the Patriots, I think they're going to get him. Because who would you rather go to? You want to go Daniel Jones and Dave Gettleman and Saquon Barkley and that? The Giants aren't a great job. Carolina, Cam Newton's been hurt. This is the best job of those, and I feel like it is time for him to leave. And so, Mike, I agree with you. It feels like his job, but I think it's going to happen. What's your confidence level that this is actually going to happen?
Well, my confidence level was a little bit higher until I saw that he opted to take the Giants interview Wednesday ahead of the Browns. Now, that could be him positioning for more money, get an offer from the Giants and then go to the Browns and try to, up the ante. But, I would tell you that if the Browns are all in on McDaniels, they cannot let him leave the building on Friday. He's got to get that contract done with Josh on Friday. And I agree with you 100%. The Patriots run is going to come to an end. I mean, Belichick he's in his 70s. I didn't realize.
No. He's 60. He's 67.
Is he 67?
Yeah.
I thought he was in his 70s.
No.
Okay, but at some point in time, he's going to slow down. Brady is likely not going to be back with the Patriots, and who knows who their quarterback is going to be. The Giants and the Carolina Panthers don't have much in terms of offense. They have the quarterback situation, and they don't have high draft picks to bring in another quarterback at this point in time.
All right, let me ask you this.
The records were too good.
Let me ask you both this. the climate here, I don't mean weather-wise, I'm just saying the atmosphere and the team culture and everything else. I say that if Jimmy Haslam wants this guy, McDaniels, he's got to make him the highest paid coach in history. Agree or disagree? No, I'm serious. I'll tell you when you laugh. This is not one of those times.
Whoa. So it's still one of only 32 jobs. This is rarefied air to be a coach in the NFL.
Right.
There is some talent here. A lot of the pain and the suffering has happened previously. You're not coming into a total rebuild. I don't think you have to go that far. I think there is opportunity here for Josh McDaniels. And the one thing, money is nice. Hey, money is nice, but what guys want is control. What guys want is opportunity to win and win their way. And if you tell Josh McDaniels, we're hiring coach first, you have influence on the GM, and look, there are some pieces here, I think this makes sense in a lot of ways. And actually, Mike, to your point about Belichick getting up there, I think some people thought when McDaniels turned down the Colts, maybe he decided, I'm going to wait out Belichick and just wait until I'm the coach in New England. I think maybe it might be some of the other thing of like, listen, Brady might be leaving, but Belichick's not going anywhere, and I can't sit here and wait for another 6 years for this guy to leave. I got to find my own gig, and I'm not sure he's going to find a better gig for him, his life, his opportunity than the Browns.
What do you think, Mike?
I agree with everything Doug is saying. The only thing that may prevent him, and like you said, Les, coming here, is the fact that the Browns are typically in a state of chaos. And if he feels as if this will truly hurt his legacy, not so much as a coach, but just, he comes to Cleveland, he's a Cleveland guy, grew up a Browns fan, and then all, he doesn't have a very good run here, he doesn't have a very good successful run because of the way the Browns situation is. He may be looking and saying, gosh, I really don't want that to happen to me in my hometown. So maybe it's best that I do that somewhere else, go take a shot somewhere else, and if it doesn't work out, at least I can always go home.
Yeah, well, maybe that's what the Denver
concern, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe that's what the Denver situation served to be. He got that out of the way, and now he's ready to take the real job.
And I think there are reasons that a guy like Josh McDaniels would look and say, well, listen, I'm not Rob Chudzinski. I'm not Mike Pettin.
Right.
Hugh Jackson had been a head coach before, but Hugh Jackson got paired with a GM that he didn't see eye to eye with. That's not going to happen to Josh McDaniels. Josh McDaniels has more qualifications than Freddie-Kitchens. I think if you're Josh McDaniels, yes, the chaos is obvious. The past is the past. The Haslams can't get away from that. But I think when you really break down all the situations under the Haslams, Josh McDaniels could say, well, none of that applies to me in this circumstance when I'm going to be able to bring a GM that's my guy that I want to work with. I believe there are reasons why I am uniquely qualified and I will not fall prey to what happened to everybody else. And I think that would not be false logic. I think that would make sense for the Browns and for him.
To steal from Anthony Lima, 92.3 The Fan, I have a theory. Now, you guys hash this one out. I think that Bill Belichick was not very happy with Mr. Kraft for whatever's happened in the last year. And so what if he lets McDaniels and Caserio go, and then he says bye-bye, and so does Brady. Have a nice life, Mr. Kraft.
And they're all coming to the Browns? Is that what are you throwing out Bill Belichick back to the Browns with Tom Brady?
First of all, let me just tell you something. That would be the greatest thing in the history of sports if that happened. So I'm not even going to suggest that.
Belichick is now my new #1 candidate. But I do. I mean, there does, right? It does, from what you read, from what you hear, there does seem to be potentially some weird feelings in New England. When you're together for 20 years, that happens to a lot of people. So, it feels like, but from Josh McDaniels' standpoint, all this stuff, it's like the band is breaking up. And you don't want to be the last guy there. No. You'd rather get out and take your own shot.
No, you don't want to be the on the Titanic as the music is flowing. All right, so Mike, Doug just said 20 years, a lot of things can happen. How about 30 years in the business of Nature Stone? That's pretty good.
30 years. I can't even believe it. I was 12 when my father started the company, and it's just growing. We're so proud. Thank you for mentioning that. And celebrating our 30-year anniversary. We're giving away 30 free floors to 30 customers. If you go to naturestone.com, you can get the details on that.
Doug just
our
raises
30 floors for 30 years giveaway.
Doug just raised his hand. He wants to be number one.
My wife wants a floor.
Yes.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. Have a happy new year. I know we'll be talking and seeing each other, and we appreciate everything you've done for us. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
Wow, it's Nature Stone. Thanks, guys.
Thanks,
Appreciate it.
Mike Macetta. Mike's grandfather was maybe the top 1 or 2 softball players in the history of Cleveland.
Really?
Yaya Macetta.
Now, I can't tell if that's one of those how come quickies.
No.
That's real?
No, that's real.
That's awesome.
One of the greats, no question about it. Northeast Factory Direct, they're one of the greats also. Alex has been in business 20 years now. That's hard to believe. Started off with one piece of furniture in the garage in Lakewood. Look what he's turned it into. One of the great stories, manufacturing stories and economic stories in the whole history of Northeast Ohio. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 locations. They've got up to the east and the west as well as to the south. And of course, northeastfactory.com. northeastfactorydirect.com. Sokolowski's University Inn. All right, so 20 years is a lot, 30 years is a lot. How about since 1923? Makes them Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated business, a restaurant. Sokolowski's University Inn. They win every award. Just recently featured in the Plain Dealer, and well-deserved, that's for sure. And the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award, only 5 in the country get it each and every year. We'll come back in a moment with Doug Lesmerises, More Sports and Les-Levine, seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone and never replace your basement flooring again. Your concrete is uneven, damp, and not healthy. Carpet and tile don't last, breed mold and mildew, and give worthless warranties. Nature Stone permanently corrects uneven concrete and is not affected by dampness or moisture. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of January. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
Let's take a look at this date in Les-Levine history. Back in 2020. I'm having trouble reading it. Can you read that?
Les has said, wait till next year for 56 consecutive years. Darn it, it is next year already.
There you go.
Look at you. Gosh, Les, you are a handsome devil. Still are.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We got some great How Come Quickies for the next segment. Well, we have some How Come Quickies. Great. Doug will be voting.
No tens, no tens.
No tens, that's all you need to know. All right, Facebook question of the day. We asked you people, with Rivera and McCarthy out of the equation, what's your choice? Who's your choice for the Browns' next head coach? Glenn Becker says Greg Roman. He has worked wonders this year with Lamar Jackson of Baltimore. Well, maybe Lamar Jackson worked his own wonders.
Boom.
Andy Mee says Josh McDaniels looks like the most appealing choice since he's been a head coach. Who knows? Maybe McDaniels was on the learning curve in Denver, like Belichick was in Cleveland or Francona in his managerial tenure in Philadelphia. Could have been written by you.
Yeah.
Dennis Percy. McDaniels looks like the choice. Michael Cirolo. Jim Harbaugh. Haven't heard that in a week. Gerard Morelli, a clone of Vince Lombardi. Doug Meredith, or Don Meredith. No, that would be Doug. If the candidates were Paul Brown, Vince Lombardi, Chuck Noll, and Bill Belichick, this team would still find a way to mess it up.
Sometimes you get lucky.
Larry Pantages, who I believe did some of the editing work on Terry Pluto's latest book about the Cavaliers. Larry says, Tony Dungy, give him 10% ownership of the team now and announce he has the option to take financial control in 5 years. Is that possible to do?
That sounds complicated.
Chris Ard, he sends in a potato. He says, right now, this potato's looking pretty good right now.
I like potatoes.
Potatoes have a lot of appeal.
Hey.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. All right. Before we get into quickies, which we'll do next segment, do you have anything that you've left off the table that you'd like to put back on the table?
No, well, you know, it's funny. This is something that no one is going to agree with, so what else is new? But I did, watching the Fiesta Bowl with Ryan Day, I've made a lot of comparisons here and elsewhere between Ryan Day and Freddie-Kitchens this whole season. They were first-year head coaches. They're about the same age. Both played quarterback in college. There were times in the red zone for Ohio State where they made some iffy play calls. They had some penalties that hurt them, where I thought, man, that looked like the Browns a little bit. And it was just a reminder, a little tiny bit, that Ohio State's playing Clemson. They're playing equal talent all of a sudden, and your opponent matters. And so it's not an excuse. Ryan Day did great. Freddie-Kitchens got fired. But sometimes it's hard to look good against the Niners and the Ravens and Seattle and the Rams and good teams. Ryan Day got off to a 10-0 start against teams that had half the talent Ohio State did. And when you're in the pressure of the moment, oh my gosh, their defense is doing great things, calling plays, making sure guys don't jump off sides, it's harder to do. It's a reminder.
And 9 times out of 10, Ohio State is, just by throwing talent on the field, Ohio State is better than the team they're playing against.
Yes.
Just right off the bat. So not that you discount that, but that's a fact.
It's just, it was a... Ryan Day did so much right this year, much more right than Freddie-Kitchens did. But in that, you know, they weren't perfect in the Fiesta Bowl, and it's that pressure that good coaches and good talent on the other side put on you. And sometimes under that pressure, when you're new to it, sometimes you make mistakes.
Let's go to Mike, who's in Reynoldsburg, Ohio. Mike, go ahead. You're on with Doug Lesmerises.
Yes, gentlemen. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Hey, Doug, I'm still trying to put my hands around why Dorsey was fired. Is it because he hired Freddie-Kitchens, or because he wouldn't toe the company line, or because he drafted guys like Antonio Callaway or something like that? Why?
Yes, and yes, and yes, and yes.
Oh, and don't forget, yes.
And this, the six wins, because I think, Mike, the things you're bringing up, it's the way everything came together, and that he put together that roster with some of those personalities and a first-year head coach, and he brought in some guys who had some off-field issues, and he could have pieced this together almost any way he wanted to, and he chose to piece it together the way that you just mentioned it, and it didn't work. And when you have carte blanche almost, and this is what you build, and what you build goes 6-10, I think it's all those components, none of them individually, but all of them together, those decisions in totality that led to 6-10, that to me is the reason.
Okay. One other comment. I think this is what Browns fans fear the most, that we are going to get a general manager that's going to pick draft choices like Brandon Whedon, Trent Richardson, and the wide receiver. That's what I fear. I mean, that's, I think, what all Browns fear.
Why do you feel that way? Why do you feel that way if you don't know who the guy's going to be?
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the whole point. We don't know who the guy's going to be, so we're afraid we're going to go backwards and back into that
abyss.
You know. Yeah, right.
A lot of that,
hole.
Mike, I think obviously the individual person obviously matters in the job, but how the franchise thinks about things, how they process information as a group, I think the Browns have been faulty often in disagreement within the building. If you hire a coach who has influence on the GM and they think about football and building a winning franchise the same way, you will lessen the chances of blowing those draft picks. It doesn't eliminate it, but it lessens it.
And by the way, when Dorsey picked Baker-Mayfield, he somehow said that they pulled all the people in the building, all the talent people, and it was unanimous that they wanted Baker-Mayfield. I don't believe that for 1 minute.
Yeah, I don't believe. So, Doug, you're not.
Well, hold on.
Doug doesn't have a say in all this.
I think if they find people who work with DePodesta and are open to like Paul DePodesta ideas, then I think they can all work together. If Jimmy Haslam says, you know what, I'm hiring this guy and this GM, and they don't really see eye to eye with DePodesta, then I think maybe DePodesta goes. But I think you have to hire who you want to hire. And if they say, yeah, Paul's smart, we want to work with him, great. If they're like, then I think maybe he goes and does something else. But the main thing is getting those two people, coach and GM, who think about football the same way.
Mike, thanks so much for the call. We got to let you go.
Guys,
thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Good to have you with us. In about 30 seconds, you looked askance at me when I said that there was no way that they all agreed with him. What were you thinking?
Well, but I don't know where else they would have gone, right? I mean,
no, and they had to admit that when it was all said and done. They had to show that they were all together on it.
Yeah, I mean, there's enough stuff that's leaked out in the past of like, well, we had a vote, and the vote was like 73-1, but we picked the thing that the one person wanted. But that's the thing, as we go back on Baker-Mayfield, I mean, do you wish they had Sam Darnold? No. Do you wish they had Josh Allen? I don't.
No, I'm fine with
Do you wish
Baker.
they had Lamar Jackson? I mean, the whole world wishes they had Lamar Jackson, but it felt like Lamar was never really in the discussion at number one.
You're going to want to have Lamar Jackson 2 years from now?
I'd take Lamar Jackson every day of the week and twice on Sunday. I mean, that guy is ridiculous. And I thought at the time he had the chance, he had the highest ceiling if you made it work.
No, they made it work.
And they made it work. Credit to Baltimore, but credit to Lamar Jackson.
Let's take a break. We'll come on back. How Come Quickies, get to some emails and more. Doug Lesmerises is with us. Bud Shaw tomorrow. Dennis Maniloff Wednesday. Paul Hoynes on Thursday. We'll come back in a moment exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get Nature Stone and never replace your garage flooring again. Your concrete is cracked, uneven, and not safe. Paints and poly coatings don't last, are slippery, and give worthless warranties. Nature Stone permanently corrects cracked, uneven concrete, eliminates slipping hazards, and is easy to clean. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, there are no hidden maintenance costs. Act now and save up to 50% with our volume discount pricing. Must be installed by the end of January. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today at naturestone.com. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Bud Shaw tomorrow night of WKYC.com. Of course, you can watch us live from 6 until 7 p.m. That would be Eastern Time, anywhere in the world. You can also check us out, archive the other 23 hours of the day. Go to facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine with new content posted each and every day. Doug Lesmerises is with us, cleveland.com and the Plain Dealer. All right, let's run through some regular emails, then the star of the show, How Come Quickies. This is from East Side Eddie.
Eastside Eddie, he emails me.
Well, he emailed me, apparently. Now that, unless you brought this with you. Now that both Rivera and McCarthy are out of the running, why should we expect another promoted coordinator is going to run this turn this team around? Why do we think that?
Because if it's Josh McDaniels, he's got the background and the depth of experience, even if he hasn't been head coach much.
Cleveland Bill, in my opinion, the Browns again lost a chance to hire a very experienced coach who has been to the Super Bowl. Snyder and Jones out-hustled the eternally befuddled Haslam, so we're going to go through another learning curve with a newbie coach. Same old Browns.
Rivera, maybe. I do not think you missed out on anything with Mike McCarthy, though.
This from Tom Randazzo. If Josh McDaniels is the Browns' preferred choice, then allow him to be in the line to let him name the new GM. Why not let him or other candidates bring their own analytics guy? I think that's what they're trying to do. He wants DePodesta to actually be the deal broker in this.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine. Again, it's about how you think about things and getting people. It doesn't have to be your friend. It's just people who are like-minded in how they think about football.
Ready for some How Come Quickies that you get to grade?
Do it. 4.
This from Toledo Mike. How come when my wife asked me to stop acting like a flamingo, I had to put my foot down?
3.
3 out of 10? Okay. This from Big Ed. How come I should trust my dentist's recommendation of toothpaste when he makes money off the people with bad teeth?
Oh, that's deep. That's an 8.
That is deep.
That made me think.
Yeah, nothing dentured, nothing gained.
Dentists are out to get us.
Oh.
I'm suspicious of dentists anyway.
Well, that opinion has some teeth to it, I can tell you that. Let's see here. How come you keep pressing harder on the remote when you know the batteries are dead?
I've done that.
I don't
That's
know
a
that
9.
either. All right, this from Mr. Gullible. How come the label for the new calendar warned me that dates are closer than they appear? How come the man who was caught stealing the calendar got 12 months?
Oh, yeah, that's funny. That would like be on a bubblegum wrapper. That's a 5.
That's good. A 5? All right. John Patrick. How come if I had 50 cents for every time I failed a math test, I'd have $4.20 by now?
That's funny. I like that kind of funny. That's a 7.
That's a 7.
That's a good one.
By your standards, that's high.
Yeah, I'm
that
very tough
breaks
grader.
the barrier. All right, we have no time left, so you have as much as you'd like to spew anything that you forgot to spew.
I went long, they're going to get it right. I'm not saying 12 and 4, but they'll be better.
Who would say 12 and 4?
I don't know. Someone said it before. Sorry.
What if they go 12 and 4? You say, I had it right. My timing was off.
I'm out of the prediction business. I'm just going to observe and analyze. No more predicting. That's my prediction for this year. No predictions.
That's your New Year's resolution also. Douglas, thank you very much.
Thanks, Les. Always have fun with you.
As they say, you killed.
You're a great host, man. You make me feel so happy and relaxed. You should come to my house and hang out.
I'd like to do that.
Let's do it.
That'll do it for us. Bud Shaw tomorrow night. Thanks to everybody back in the control room doing a great job as usual. Thanks to Doug Lesmerises of all the shows I've ever done. This was the most recent.